Welcome to the 43rd annual Runoffs. Last year in C Sports Racing, the event started with a literal bang multi-car incident, also involving the pole sitter Jacek Muka. That allowed the number 12 of Jamie Treadway to move into the lead, hounded by Arnie Loining. There was a great three-way battle during the race between Richard Cottrell, Mike McGinley, and Harold Grafton, fought tooth and nail. Late in the going, Arnie Loining around and into the lead as Treadway faltered. And even later, a big incident for the Radical of Mike McGinley got it all wrong, into the barriers, severe damage, his day was done. But for Arnie Loining, he took his Swift Viking to a huge win, and the crew very happy. He had himself a gold. C Sports Racing has always been one of the Sports Car Club of America's fastest classes, but it's undergoing an evolution and as a result is getting even quicker. Embracing that evolutionary technology, for instance, is this gentleman, Hans Peter, who has moved up from the Sports 2000 rank and is driving a bodied Swift Atlantic car using tunnel technology. His results? Can't argue with him. A Midwest Division Championship, 6 wins in 6 starts. Now, Jeff Miller, of course, is a multiple champion. He continues to embrace the older technology, the traditional CSR technology. This win for Lola first race in 1992. And then we move over to Bill Goldkind, who is driving a Ralt rebodied Atlantic car. This car also uses the tunnel technology and the engines from Loining. That's the power plant that won this class last year, a Northeastern Division champ. Mark Jaremko is driving a store chassis. It too embraces tunnel technology, but it's not a rebodied Atlantic car. It's purpose-built. Now, he ran a DSR version of this and won 3 championships in that class. He is always going to be somebody to watch out for when it comes race time. The guy who everybody's really got their eyes open for, though, is this gentleman, Wade Carter. Since they dropped this Swift Atlantic CSR off of the trailer, he has been very quick. Not a surprise, he won the Northern Pacific Championship. And if you're looking at experience, well, how about Jim Downing, a 6-time International Motorsports Association Pro Racing champ. He's made the trek from Atlanta in his Ralt Atlantic CSR. He's looking to add a gold medal to his tremendous racing resume. It is time for Speed's coverage of the 43rd running of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs. For the first time in its history, coming to you from Heartland Park, Topeka, in Topeka, Kansas. We are covering C Sports Racer, one of the fastest of the SCCA national classes. Great to have you with us for this coverage, folks. And again, first time here at Heartland Park, we are looking forward to a very fast and exciting race on this rather unknown track to many of the drivers. I'm Greg Kramer, and I will be joined here in the booth today by Dan Bates, a driver of some note and certainly an engineer and wrench of note. John Bizignano, Jim Trado down in the pits. And Dan, let's get very quickly to the track map here. A virtual unknown to a lot of these drivers.
Right, turn 1 is a great passing zone right here. Turn 6 is very slow, 40-45 miles an hour. Another good passing zone into turn 8. Back through the S's onto the long front straightaway.
And right now we want to tell you about the specs of this class. C Sports Racing, Danny.
C Sports Racing, purpose-built cars, open. They use downforce, old Atlantic car tunnels. Really high-end engines, Toyota Atlantic engines and Hayabusa motorcycle engines, things like that.
Very trick stuff. And John Bizignano, I imagine there's some good information down pit lane.
Well, Kerry Jacobson, he has a bit of an advantage over this 18-car field. Number 1, he has a Panos car. He loves that car. It's the only chassis made by Panos in the field. And he's also done 10 races, professional races, in IMSA Light, which the car qualifies for. So that extra experience has to help when it comes down to pushing and shoving in CSR. Let's go down to my pit partner, Jim Trado.
Biz, this is the only Ralt Viking in the field. It's Ken Davis's car of Escondido, California. He gained 3 seconds in qualifying just yesterday to get up on the grid. He'll start 4th. The Sopac champ is looking for a medal.
All right, gentlemen, we are looking forward to a great race. It will be a fast one. These cars incredibly quick around Heartland Park, Topeka. When we come back, we will give you our starting lineup and let the green flag fly. Welcome back to Heartland Park, Topeka. The C Sports Racing field is underway on their parade laps. We want to bring you our starting lineup for this race, and it is a good one. There's some very, very quick machinery that is going to be taken to the track, and you can see that right now. Now, we're going to show you the entire field, but what we want to really talk about here, obviously Hans Peter, we talked about him at the top. He has been very quick, and he ended up on the pole, and Wade Carter, another gentleman who was very impressive, is now going to line up alongside. So that is your front row. You take a look at that right here. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about, Danny, is the fact that the top 8 are really ground effects type cars, and they have, as you would expect, at the top of the field as you look at the grid here. But 9th and back, those are more traditional non-ground effects cars, a 6+ second time gap. That means those leaders are going to be in traffic early and often.
They are going to be in traffic fairly soon, maybe 7 or 8 laps. And the downforce cars are able to stop faster. They carry more speed in the corners. They should be able to slice through some of the slower cars really fast.
And that's what we're looking forward to here. We get a report now that number 10, Rosella Manfrenato, is not going to be able to take the green. So unfortunate that she won't be out there. She is a very talented driver and a great setup engineer as well. Let's get down to the pits for any last-minute updates. Biz?
Hey guys, you know, when I look down this list, the head of it says CSR, and as you guys all know, the rules in C Sports Racing, they really stand for coulda, shoulda rules, because it's a very thin rule book. These guys have a lot of room to do what they want to do with the rules, a lot of freedom in aerodynamics, brakes. The engine is pretty well set, but everything else on the car is down to interpretation, and they love to do it. A lot of engineers in this particular class. For a little bit more about the class, let's go down to my pit partner, Jim Trado.
Well, Vince, I thought we'd give a shout out to James Smith, car number 04. He starts 14th on the grid, but he's very proud to say he's part of the over 50 racer group. So this position is certainly fired up, and proud to say I'm still at it over 50. So it is possible on an SCCA well into your quote-unquote golden years.
Oh, without a doubt. A number of drivers here, Jim, in fact, are up in that category. We call them extremely experienced veterans, is what we like to say. Danny, what can we look forward to in this race? Brand new venue for these guys.
Brand new venue, deep braking. Turn one's a good place to pass. They can get inside. With downforce, you can run on the outside lane. It is a little bit dirty because not a lot of cars have run here. Earlier in the week it rained, and now it's starting to get rubber down, but it's only in one lane. We'll see what happens in the passing zones later on.
There's a good look at Mr. Smith out there having some great fun. You know, as we mentioned, this is the first time here at Heartland Park. Back in the 60s, starting in 1964, were the first official runoffs, if you will, the national championships, then called the American Road Racing Classic. For the first 6 years, it swapped back and forth between Riverside Raceway and Daytona. The next 24 years, it found a home at Road Atlanta. Then it moved in 1994 to Mid-Ohio, stayed there until this year. And we are about to get our first race at Heartland Park, Topeka for the national championship runoffs underway. And the number 66 of Peter brings him up. Carter alongside. A pretty good formation at the front for the start, and they are funneling into this turn, and it is snug. There's that rise, and now, Dan, into a very tight right-hander. And Carter, as you said, dust, dirt, debris flying, and those things stuck right around the outside.
Yeah, it looks like he had a really good start, able to outbrake him into turn 1. I think he was more sure of his car. Looked like the red car there took it a little bit easy under the brakes, and he was able to get by.
Well, that first corner complex with that blind brow and everything was a little bit of a concern for all the drivers coming in here, and they did a beautiful job. And it is Carter leading Hans Peter. The white nose is Carter, the all-red car is Hans Peter, and then that black car is Mark Jaremko. That is not a rebodied Atlantic car, and it is also running one of those motorcycle engines, and very aggressive, gets underneath Hans Peter. Peter runs wide. I think he was surprised.
I think he was surprised. It looks like the Jaremko car is a lot lighter in this class, a smaller engine, but on those really tight bits, 4, 5, and 6 there, you can see he made a big charge, and it looks like he might be able to catch the leader here.
This is the section they call the bus stop. It's sort of a chicane that breaks up what would otherwise be a very long back straight. Then the elevation change here up and over the tunnel that leads into the infield. And this corner I love. Turn 10, it falls away. It is very fast. And then you get into what I call the autocross section here. 3 turns, Danny, that are very, very tight, and really, to me, the best way to drive him is shortest line to the apex until you get squared up for that last turn.
Yeah, it looked like Jaremko slowed down a little bit through the middle there and then made a nice shot on the straightaway. You can see he pulled out a little bit. It looks like Jaremko might have been playing games in qualifying because it looks like his car is really fast. You can see the red car's got more power.
Peter, wow. And that's the engine, isn't it?
That is the engine there. But Jaremko, if he can keep him in sight there, he's going too wide. very dirty there.
Crossed up, he held on to it, but made it work. But again, that car, because it runs the smaller motorcycle engine with less displacement, is lighter. It is ground effects. It does have tunnels, so it does have the grip. And one thing it does is carry speed very, very well.
Yeah, and it looked like the red car there blocked the quote line, and then he now he pulled out a big gap on him, but Jaremko's catching up through.
A little defensive, you're saying?
Maybe a little defensive.
Maybe a little defensive. Good battle here. The 64 is Ken Davis, and he is being hounded by that number 38 of Kerry Jacobson. Now, Jacobson started 7th. He's made up 2 spots and is running 5th at this stage. The Inspire Motorsports, that's that Panos chassis, and you can see it is very wide, very flat car, and is very stable in the corners, very aerodynamic. And maybe his aggression here in the early going is because he's sponsored this weekend as well by Buzz Through Espresso Bar, the caffeine shop. Oh! And the 64 has gone off and has crumpled the nose.
Yeah, it looked like he just got off line a little bit and smashed the nose when he went off the track into the...
Just dug it into the dirt there, and apparently, obviously, as you said earlier, Danny, offline, it is a little slippery.
Right, I was watching there earlier in practice.
Oh,
he got the curb and then messed up the nose, and looks like it just took him right off the track.
Yeah, that wasn't an offline move. That was he just was too aggressive on that curb. These things ride so low. The ground clearance is so low. You hit those curbs, that's what can happen. It just crunch up the nose, and that unsettles the car, obviously.
Right, it just got him off into the dirty part of the track, and away he went.
So that's the 64, Ken Davis in that Lola CSR, and he is done for the day. Meanwhile, up front, that battling between Hans Peter and Mark Jaremko has allowed the second qualifier, Wade Carter, who got the jump at the beginning in his Swift Viking, has opened up a substantial lead. But Hans Peter is coming, and is coming on strong. This battle is going to form up at the front, and we'll be right back with it.
Very well known Jim Downing, 44 years of racing, and actually back in 1989, the first IMSA race here in Heartland. Jim, what was it like back then?
Well, it was great. The town welcomed us. My wife Connie and I were invited into the home of folks to have dinner. It was a great experience, and it was a new track for all of us, and we had a wonderful time.
Well, many years later, he finished second in the national race here in June in preparation for the championship.
And you saw in that shot right there, that device sitting on the side part of the car is the Hans device, which has become de rigueur really in the racing community if you're really concerned about safety. And what it does, it's designed to keep your head from snapping forward under impact, and it has saved a lot of lives. And Jim Downing was one of the designers of that device with Dr. with Dr. Hubbard. It's called the head and neck safety device, and it is a very important deal. We've got some great racing here, and it is Peter taking a look at the leader, Carter. He's gone inside, he's gone outside, and Carter just driving the fastest line, which is right now the best defense at this point.
Right, he's maybe a little bit of blocking there inside. That's a great move, and he can't do anything about it there. And looks like Peter's car is a lot faster on the straightaway, pulling away.
Yeah, Hans was able to just get the power down a little bit better coming out of that turn and squared up underneath him.
I think he was just watching the mirrors, and Peters took a big advantage of that.
Whoa, and then Carter trying to stay with him is apparently a little bit too greedy going into the bus stop, and right where that back end came around, Dan, is where you would start to feed a little throttle, and maybe he went for it a little too soon.
Right, I think what happened is earlier, 3 turns earlier, he got off in the dirt and didn't get his tires cleaned off, and that's what spun him out.
Now here's the lead change, and watch Peter just dives underneath.
He dives underneath and puts him offline, and now he's trying to carry big speed up to the next corner and just loses it.
And here's where he spun it.
Yeah, he got offline a little bit wide and spun it out. Jaremko goes flying by, and that was for second.
Oh, Jaremko heart in the throat moment there. As
yeah.
He saw him spinning in front, but fortunately spun to the inside. Another look at it here. Just a little bit too aggressive on the throttle, and Wade Carter now has his work cut out for him, assuming he can get that car restarted and back underway, which he has done, but he has lost a lot of time, and that moves Jaremko now up into second.
Right, it looks like didn't get any damage to the body, and he should be able to get back up to maybe 5th. I don't know, we'll see where he's at now.
Next time he cycles through, we'll give you the update, and 5th it is. Good call. at this stage, so he is now behind Downing. Obviously, the 38 of Jacobson, Downing, both move up a couple of spots, so Carter finds himself in that 5th spot, and then it's McGinley running in 6th right now. There is your leader now, Hans Peter, and with that incident, and with Jaremko obviously having to be a little bit of a caution here coming through that spinning section, now the 66 Biz of Hans Peter has got himself some breathing room.
I just did.
Biz?
Merle Swan is the crew chief for that beautiful number 66 car. Let me tell you, 8 races you were in this year. You engineered that car to 7, and your man is out front now. When they was running close together, they said the car had a lot of speed down the straightaway, a lot of top line speed. How'd you get it?
Well, it's taken a lot. We remapped the ECU for the cold weather conditions, and it seems to be working really well. We changed some of the electronics on the engine, and it seems to really have helped it. We did some different things with the ducting to try to improve the temperatures also, so that we could get the ideal temperatures, even though it's only like 34 degrees right now.
When your man came by, you said, stay focused, stay focused. When he's leading like this and no one pushing him, are you worried about that?
It looks like he's still getting pushed pretty good right now by Jaremko, so he needs to stay focused. It's really cold, it's really slick out there, so it's a concentration game. It's almost like the wet, it's so cold out there and little grip.
I'll tell you guys, it's about 40 degrees here in the pit lane.
Oh, it's chilly, and that's a good point. You tape off the radiators to get the engines to build temp, and that guy, Merle Swan, he is going to be one of the front runners, if you keep watching our coverage, in Formula Atlantic. So when it comes to high-speed ground effects and aerodynamics, Mr. Swan knows a good bit about getting those cars dialed up and set up, and he obviously has thrown a beautiful setup on Hans Peter's car. So Hans Peter continues to lead. Jaremko is second. Jacobson, Downing, and Carter make up your top 5 here at Heartland Park. C Sports Racing is underway here at Heartland Park, Topeka, in the 43rd running of the SCCA's National Championships. They call them the Runoffs, and run away with it right now is what Hans Peter is doing in C Sports Racer. He has opened his margin up to about 3.5 seconds. There he is, your leader, and you can see that black dot coming behind him is Mark Jaremko. So Hans Peter took advantage of everything that was unfolding behind him. Once he got to the lead, he has driven some very quick laps. His best lap, a 1:32.4, and that's about a half second off where he qualified. So he is running very, very quickly right now. And now, though, Danny, here's what we talk about. He's coming up on traffic.
Yeah, he's catching up to these slower cars. He's able to shoot by. You'll see he can get offline. His car's good. He's making downforce. Carries big speed through the corners, and he just drives by.
That was Mike Vallone, who was just going by right there in the Mazda Speed Vallone Inc. machine, and there's Jaremko coming up behind him. He's going to be dealing with traffic as well as Peter works through the section of track. This is the battle for 6 right now, and that is the 96 of McGinley. You remember in the top of the show, he had that big crash last year at Mid-Ohio, and he is driving now, but way wide there. You can see those rear tires throwing up a lot of dirt and debris, and he's hanging on to it. And we got to give some props to the guy right behind him, is Jeff Miller, that multiple medalist in the Zero Win First Lola, and he is doing an incredible job in a very old chassis, running right now in the 7th spot and sticking with these guys. This is some pretty trick technology he's in.
Yeah, both these cars are older cars, small. You can see they're really narrow, and the Atlantic cars, wider chassis, maybe a little bit more power, a lot more downforce, and that's where they're making up their time.
I talked to Jeff a little bit earlier as we take a look here at Bill Goldkind, who's having a good run as well. And Miller told me, he said, early in the week, he said, the car's actually pretty good. It's me. It's just trying to learn this new track. Well, clearly, he has finally come to grips with this track, and that car is hooked up right now, and he's fending off Bill Goldkind, and that is one of those rebodied Walt Atlantic cars that Goldkind is driving right there. So you know that car's making the grip, and he has actually come up a bit in the pack. Goldkind, as I said, he qualified up in the 5th spot. Miller qualified 9th and is now up in 7th and is not that far off of McGinley in 6th.
Yeah, it looks like the Ralt's a little bit loose trying to get out onto the straightaways, and when he tries to hustle it, it just slides a little bit, and the Kohler car just pulls away there.
Well, that Kohler car, that is a six-cylinder Kohler-built engine. It's one of those special engines built by the Kohler company, and one thing it does is make power very, very well. Now, that's an older chassis, so then you got to deal with that power in the corners, obviously. But Miller doing a beautiful job driving it. Goldkind sitting right there in the 8th spot, and he just slipped back a little bit at the start, and right now cannot find a way. Oh, and then he looped it!
Yeah, we talked about being loose earlier, and it just loose at the end of the brake zone. Maybe it has not enough front brake bias, or maybe just not enough wing.
And as we talked about, the track better than it has been, but it's still so cold out there.
Yeah, they talked earlier, track temperatures in the 40s. All of the nationals here earlier in the year were in the 80, 100 degree range. So,
and here's a look at it once again.
Yeah, just as he turned in, it lost the rear, and we saw that a couple of times on the lap before. Definitely loose at the end of the zone.
All right, but he got it started, and he is back. He's obviously going to lose some spots, and for Jeff Miller, he doesn't have to worry about the pressure from behind. We'll see if he can take off and catch McGinley for 6, maybe make his way into the top 5. Welcome back to Topeka. If you're just joining us in our coverage of the C Sports Racing, we are going to give you a little look at what's unfolded so far. Here's the start. That was Mark Jaremko, qualified 3rd, ducked underneath pole sitter Hans Peter because Wade Carter in the lead car had gone from the outside of the front row into the lead. Then a bit of a moment here for the number 64 of Ken Davis, damaged the nose on a curve. And then look at this, Hans Peter, he came back and got around Wade Carter from 3rd to 1st, and a couple of laps took the lead away. Carter trying to stay with him, just had one of those big lurid spins and dropped back to 5th. He is now up into 4th and is closing on 3rd, which is currently held by the number 38 of Kerry Jacobson. And your leader continues to be Hans Peter. From the pole, as he said, he slipped back just a little bit and then has just fought his way right back to the front. There he goes, whistling down this kind of weaving entry into the first turn complex. It's sort of a lined uphill brow, then you bend right a little bit, straighten into a brake zone, and then you make your hard brake turn into that first sequence of corners. And these cars, when they're fast, all that ground effects tunnel technology just plants them on the track. But you see what happens, you run up behind a slower car, you've got to be very careful.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit careful, but that downforce holds that car on the road. He can go offline, no big deal for him. He's got to be a little bit careful for the next couple laps, get the tires cleaned off, but he's just picking his place on the track, hitting his marks, concentrating on what's in front of him, not worried too much what's behind him, and I'm sure his crew's giving him information, hey, plus this, plus that. Right now he's plus 7.2, so he just needs to concentrate on the track and look at traffic.
Well, Merle Swan has been talking to him about keeping focused, and one of the things that you have to do here is you have to really pay attention to tires, Biz.
Absolutely, I'll tell you, and Hoosier pays very big attention to tires all throughout these championships. They came here with 4,000 tires, but one of the problems is that during the national race when they came testing, it was 90 degrees, and they did not bring that many soft compounds. The higher the temperature, the softer you want the compound. If I can get my fingers to even work down here. As you can see, even this little piece of plastic here can put a good mark into the tires that the number 66 car is using. But not enough competitors were able to get the soft compounds. Those people who looked at the weather, they went over to Hoosier right away at the beginning of the week and said, give us a full set of the softest compounds out there. And this is what's certainly helping that 66 car in the lead right now. Another thing about this tire is that it will be able to last. Even though it's the softest compound Hoosier makes, they'll have no problem going this distance.
Well, that is incredibly important because tires work on temperature, and that is exactly what you have to do, is to be able to get things built up in terms of heat. And this is Bill Goldkind, and again, running a harder compound and not having the setup right.
Spins it out. The compounds are sort of like different oils. The colder it gets, the different, 1030 oil or 530 oil. It's sort of the same thing with the tires. You have to have a softer compound. It sort of grips the track as it gets colder.
Build some heat in that tire, and that is what gives you some grip on the track. Again, there was some rain here earlier in the week during qualifying, but the track is rubbering in, and certainly Hans Peter has found the right combination of tire for the car and the track, and he is gone.
For 2005 SCCA CSR National Champion Arnie Loining, it's been about performance and power and getting that car and racing at the victory circles for many, many years, but Arnie's been known more for his engine prowess. Today we want to focus a bit on CSR, a class you'll be a spectator watching, Arnie, not defending your title, but tell us about the customers you're helping and the bodies you're now creating to help them race more competitively.
Well, first I started doing a body for the Swift before Atlantic car, and it was successful, so then I modified it to fit on the Swift 008 Atlantic car on the 014, and also for the Walt RT4041s, and here are 3 examples.
And for Arnie Loining, what started out as a way to support his racing by building motors has turned into just much more than that. He's got 20 customers on the grounds here at the Runoffs this weekend.
Well, Arnie is quite simply just a tremendous engineer, and he does a great job. And this is one of the cars that he's competing against, one of the radicals, and this is one of the cars that is the traditional non-tunnel technology that is running in this class. And Arnie has really taken that level when he created that Swift Viking off the DB4 and then upgraded it to the new Swift chassis and the Ralts. It really has elevated the speed of CSR to a whole unforeseen level.
Right, a lot of these guys in the Radical here, as you see, just made a big jump this year. So a lot of these guys are going to have to go to cars similar to these.
Oh, and boy, look at this. During the break, we were talking how Wade Carter is coming on, and Danny, you were watching the monitor. You said he's been closing at seconds per lap, and he is making the move. This is for third, and easily underneath Jacobson into the bus stop. That is an area where you can make a pass if you've got the speed. Clearly, he does.
Yeah, his car's very good under the brakes. He just picked his spot, drove by, and it looks like he's, he was carrying about 2, maybe 3 seconds a lap faster catching up to those guys.
Yeah, Jacobson's car, that Panos, does not run the level of ground effects that the rebodied Atlantic cars do, and he's been doing a great job keeping that car up in that top 3. He's down to 4th right now and pushing hard, but just in terms of the grip level, you're not going to match a full ground effects car.
No, I mean, the downforce numbers those cars make, maybe 1,000 pounds, and this car might make 750. It's a big deal. It's just, if you think about somebody just pushing down on the car that much harder, the tires just grip that much better.
And as you said, obviously, downforce not just gets you fast through the corners, you can brake much deeper, much more effectively. It affects so many different things. But at times, Dan, even though you've got that downforce, it gets away from you.
Yeah, it didn't help there. He got a little bit of dirt on the tires and tried to carry a bunch of speed, and around it went.
Still got to have the grip of the tires. That's the key right there. So, but Wade Carter, what a comeback drive he has put together. After that spin, dropped to 5th, and is now augured his way back up into the 3rd spot. But an awful lot of ground to make up to Jaremko in 2nd, even more to Hans Peter. We are back. C Sports Racing is now past the halfway point here at Heartland Park, Topeka, and Hans Peter leads by about 7 seconds. He's coming up on some traffic, but you can see just the speed that car has, one in terms of the engine power and also just the grip. He is able to work through these cars rather smartly, and is coming up right there, I believe. That is the number 6 of Jim Downing, that red car in front. That is 5th, which tells you just how quick Hans Peter is running as he gets by one of the most experienced driver in the field, Jim Downing, running in the 5th place.
Yeah, he just drove right by. Jim's car doesn't make the downforce as Peter's, and it really doesn't have anything to defend against. He just lets him by and off with his race.
Well, that was a good move by Jim to just let him through. No point, he was going down a lap, don't mess up the leader's run, and Hans Peter, as a result, is able to continue pretty much uncontested. You can see the lap times that he's been throwing down, mostly mid-134s. He hits the 135s when he gets in a little bit of traffic, but that is very quick considering he qualified at about 1:32, so in traffic he's only 2.5 seconds off of what he's qualifying.
Right. That goes back to the same deal. With a downforce, you can carry big speed. Doesn't matter where your line is. You can be offline going by guys and still have a decent lap time. If you only lose 1 or 2 seconds, that's not the end of the world.
Well, and we've been talking about the cold, and obviously the tires don't particularly like cold. And we've always talked about engines love the cold air because it's densely packed, but so does aero. I mean, when the air is packed when it's cold, the aero comes to life.
Right, the colder the air is, the more you can lean on it. You know, airplanes can lift more weight if they're in the cold air. If they're in the hot air, they can't lift as much weight. So this pushes down harder when it's 40 degrees, and at 80, the drivers can really feel the difference in the temperature.
Here you can see the difference. There is Jaremko. That black car is in second spot. It was just coming up through the pack, and that gives you an idea of how much. Now, he gained a second in it because of the traffic Hans Peter hit. And by the way, Jaremko runs out of the Oregon region, and a couple of people in Oregon region are missing their first runoffs in 10 years. Mindy Allen took ill recently, and she and her husband Howard, they were dying to come to this race, and she's not feeling well, so they're both staying at home, but they're watching it. And we just wanted to say to Mindy and to Howard, you're both missed, and Mindy, get well soon, would you? And here is Jaremko again. Now you can see he's driving very hard. The car is, I mean, he is leaning on it, and the car is stepping out everywhere, but is applying every bit he can to try and do something here. It's just that Hans Peter's car is just so hooked up right now.
Yeah, he gained 2 seconds on that lap with the traffic. I think they saw Peters coming, and then they said, well, the next guys are coming soon.
Just moved over and let Mark through. Now here he is going to be coming up on the number 40 of John Metzger, that purpley blue kind of car. And there is Jennifer Jaremko. That's Mark's wife. She's seen him win 3 national championships in D Sports racing. Boy, he got held up there, and there's, I mean, obviously not a lot that John could do in that twisty section. So Jaremko probably going to lose a little bit of time here. And as he comes onto the front straight, Biz, she's got to be pretty intense.
Well, I tell you, Jennifer, I know the first thing I asked you was, where's your coat?
Yes. I didn't expect it to be quite this cold here. It was 75 degrees when I talked to Mark before I got here 2 nights ago. So a little unexpected, the weather.
Well, your husband's holding down second place now. I know you're not in radio communication with him, but he has no pressure from behind, and he looks like he's struggling to catch the 66 car. What's he thinking about right now?
You know, Mark really has a steady peace of mind. He's kind of in a zone when he's in the car. So I think he's just probably thinking that he's going to maintain his position and just drive a good race.
Be happy for that silver medal, guys.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, you know, taking this car, which is, as we've talked about, Danny, does just not have the outright performance potential of these rebodied Atlantic cars, to be second and to be comfortably second is accomplishing something.
It is. You know, when they change classes around a little bit, it's hard to figure out which car you want to take, and he's been driving the store for a long time. He's raced Formula Ford stores, he's raced this. He
sort of their official development driver.
Right, he is, and he's spot on. I mean, he hits his marks. You haven't seen him put a wheel wrong yet.
And he will be running in D Sports racing, and he's considerably the favorite in that class right now.
Yes, I think it's either a similar car or the same car, and there's a couple of changes that he has to make, but he is definitely the favorite.
And we go back up front. There is Hans Peter just continuing to click the laps off, doing a superb job in that Phoenix Labels car.
Yeah, 2 laps left. He really only has to worry about traffic in front of him, hitting his marks. You can see he's not carrying as much speed as he was earlier in the race there. He's not being pressured as hard. Although Jaremko's 4 seconds back now. He picked up another 2 seconds on that lap, Jaremko did.
Well, Jaremko's last lap, he ran about just a little under half a second off his fastest lap. Hans Peter's last lap was 4 seconds off his fastest lap, so he's definitely backed it off a little bit. And here's Wade Carter in third, and Carter has been throwing down some of the quickest laps in the field right now, Jim Trado, but it's not going to be easy to catch second.
And Greg, what it really shows is that one tactical error on the racetrack has really cost Wade Carter, he thought he could get to Hans Peter and Mark Jaremko as far as his pace. By lap 13, he was on pace with Jaremko once he got into third position, but that has now stabilized, so that gives you an indication. One wrong move, one wheel off can cost you big time here at the runoffs.
Yeah, it really did. It cost him 20 seconds spinning out and getting going again. And you can see the car's still loose, leaving black marks, leaving the corners. He's just trying to get everything he can today.
Flogging it.
Yes.
He is flogging it, as they say, and trying to make some ground up. The problem is he's still about 22 seconds adrift of Jaremko. And Jaremko, again, is making up some time. Oh, and Jeff Miller, who had had such a good run. He was knocking on the door of the top 5 in arguably one of the older chassis here, and he is in the pits and looks like his day is done. He's brought it in and stopped.
Looks like maybe a flat tire or something that's really low in the front. Maybe he went off. The right front's dragging. It looks like it has a right front flat tire.
Well, let's check on Jim.
Jeff Miller did come in pointing to the right front tire. It is down. So the Elkhart Lake driver, who is so synonymous with the June sprints and the runoffs here, has now got a valve situation. Perhaps it's just the tire deflating. The tire engineers are over to check it out. His Goodyear guys are over the wall, but I do see the valve stem is in. He's got a puncture and the tire is down on Jeff Miller's car.
Well, I see a lot of the lettering is rubbed off on the side, so I wonder if he didn't rub it up against something or somebody, but he is done. Meanwhile, we are on our white flag last lap of this first event of the 43rd running of the National Championship Runoffs, and you see Mark Jaremko has definitely closed it up a little bit, but his speeds have not increased that much. It's the speeds of Peter have come down a little bit, and I think Peter is simply driving the gap right now. Merle Swan in his ear telling him, as you said, exactly where he is and what he needs to do.
Yeah, Merle's been racing a long time. He knows what to tell his driver. Just, hey, bring it home. You got a little bit of a cushion there. Just be smart, hit your marks, take it easy, get out on the front straightaway, and you'll win this thing.
Over the tunnel for the last time. There's a look at Merle as he is working. That's the antenna that is chatting it up. And here comes through this last technical section here. That is turn 11. Here's 12. You've got 13 coming up. And then that last turn, 14, right here onto the front straight. And Hans Peter feeds at the throttle, runs out nice and wide, but gives himself plenty of room. And Hans Peter, in his first year out of the Sports 2000 class and in C Sports racing, has done it, and done it most impressively, bringing home the gold medal. Mark Jaremko will nail the silver, and in just a few seconds, Wade Carter, spin and all, ought to be home with the bronze, and that crew is ecstatic, and Merle's going, I hope I could do that in the Atlantic race.
Yeah, he's probably saying, hey, why did he get it that close? They ended up winning by 1.8 seconds. He went from 6 to 1.8 in the last lap. So,
well, he just backed her off, didn't want to make any mistakes, was giving himself a lot of ground. Now let's get back down to Biz with a happy crew chief.
Merle Swan, congratulations. 8 wins this season, but this had to be the sweetest.
Absolutely. We've had some great wins this year. Hans has done a fantastic job. He's a fantastic driver, super focused. He's very dedicated, and he's just a great guy to work with. He's so fast, and it's fantastic.
How big of crew are there to make this championship come true?
Say that again.
How many people in the crew that you would like to thank for making this come true?
We have so many people on the crew. We have 8 guys here this weekend, and
8 people to run this one car.
Yeah, well, we running other cars this weekend, but they're all focused on all the cars. We chip in for everything, and Hoosier Tires has been fantastic. They supported us all year, and they produced a fantastic tires.
Congratulations again. Those soft Hoosiers really paid off in this cold weather, you guys.
Yeah, John, those 8 guys are there prepping 8 different cars, including the one Merle's going to be running in Formula Atlantic, so that is one busy guy.
Yeah, that whole team, they live and die racing, so it doesn't matter what car they're working on, they want to do their best job.
And there you saw Bill Goldkind flashing by as well. We have concluded the CSR National Championship run. When we come back, we'll visit with our medalists. We are back to Heartland Park, Topeka. C Sports Racing, the National Championship has been concluded, and let's get down to John Bizignano with our gold medalist.
Hans Peter, congratulations on a great championship. Take us through those opening laps from the action.
Well, I just got a bad start, and Mark and Wade got a good jump, and I just did a little bit of, chase.
You had to be patient there. The car seemed extremely well hooked up. Many of the other cars were slipping and sliding on this very smooth, cold surface, but you weren't having that problem.
No, we have a lot of testing here. Merle Swan, who develops my car, he has 5 Atlantics in the shop, and he's really an expert on Toyota Atlantics. And this is basically an Atlantic with wheel covers. So we really think we got a great set of Hoosier tires, Toyota Hasselgren motor.
What about taking that lead back? That was a very calculated move.
It was down, I think, at the bottom of 7, and he kind of bobbled a little bit, and I just put it up down the inside and launched it up the hill. So I don't know what happened to Wade after that. Actually, did he? What happened to him after that?
Well, he's all right, but I don't think he's too happy about it. But anyway, that's racing.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Congratulations on a great run. Let me go down to my pit partner, Jim Trado.
And Mark Jaremko is just sharing how his race went, Mark, and it may have started on Monday or Tuesday. Hans certainly had a very fast car all week. Is this where you expected to be, silver medal?
We were hoping. The Atlantic bodied cars are quite a bit of a challenge for our motorcycle powered store, but we definitely have the fastest motorcycle powered car here, I think.
You burst on the scene a couple years ago gathering the gold, and now you're back in this class, CSR. Talk about the run you had and the competition you were fearing most beyond Hans.
Mostly Hans and Wade Carter. Hans Peter and Wade Carter, two great guys, and they had great equipment. So we knew we were going to have trouble with them with the store WF1. But for a 1-liter motorcycle-powered car, I think we let them know we were here.
Talk about the duration of the race and how the weather did affect you. Did it affect you at all? Did the tires come in later than you expected?
We were pretty caught off guard with the tires in qualifying. We had a lot of cold qualifying sessions. So luckily my team, Wayne Felch and Lee Storr, figured out a good tire combination for me, and I had good tires. I was all over them at the start. You know, I almost had them. I don't know if I could have held them off, but the car worked really good the whole race.
So. Thoughts of silver medalist Mark Tremko. Nice run.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was a fabulous run, and he mentioned 1 liter, which means that is probably the same car he's going to run in DSR, because that's the engine that they run in that class. So remarkable for a DSR car to be that successful. Let's take a look at our results. Peter Jaremko and Carter, your medalists. Wade Carter did get back to 3rd and get the bronze. A great comeback drive. Kerry Jacobson in that panel, it's a fabulous job. Jim Downing, great to have him back and running in SCCA competition. McGinley in the Radical. Rennie Damon, Bill Goldkind. A little bit of a problem during the race, slipped back just a little bit. Don Yout and Michael Vallone round out the top 10. And 11th was Jeff Miller, who I think had a tremendous drive going until he had that problem with the tire.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to be 5th or 6th maybe. Top 5, him and Downing were having a good run, so we don't know what happened there. Either went off the track or got a flat tire somehow.
And Rosella Manfrenato, as we said, was not even able to make the start. And as we're watching Hans Peter take a very well-deserved victory lap, let's get back down to John Bizignano.
Well, here we have Mr. Carter, who is in 3rd position, but I'll tell you, this is not where you want to be right now. You thought you were going to go for the podium and 1st place.
Well, we had it for a bit. Cold tires, the car was amazing. The car was just great. I want to thank the guys from Robin Automotive. They did a wonderful job. Hoosier Tires, the Toyota motor was great. We've had a struggling week a little bit trying to deal with these cold conditions, but
take us through those opening laps.
Well, we had a great start. We got into turn 1 on the outside of Hans and were able to stay ahead of him. And then as a couple laps in, we started overheating our tires.
What about the spin? That's what we want to hear about. What about the spin? Did you hurt the car?
No, it didn't hurt the car. Just the pride and ego a little bit. And Hans got in front of me and just trying a little too hard and got out in the marbles and it came around on me. But
okay, but then you settled down and passed back for 3rd place, you know, so it wasn't a bad weekend.
Yeah, we moved backwards 1 spot from where we started, but that's not what we came here to do. But after all, podium's all right. We're happy.
A lot of work.
A lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, he did have the eventful drive of the day, no question, for Wade Carter. Started 2nd, dropped to 5th, came back to 3rd for the bronze, and passed some cars on the way, and that makes it a lot of fun. Sure, he'd love the gold, but he does leave her with a bronze medal. Welcome back, everybody. Another look at our results here as Hans Peter has claimed the gold medal. Good for him in the sense that from 2000 to 2002 in Sports 2000, he always podiumed, but this is the first time he ever got a gold medal. Let's check in with John Bizignano.
Jim Downing, you told me at the beginning of this weekend that you did not have a 5th place car.
Well, I was being modest, I guess. I said I had a 6th place car, and I got 1 place up. And I want a new rule for this Mazda. We should have 5 on the podium this year instead of 3. What do you think?
Why not? You know, they extended the rule, the points down in Formula One. Why not here?
That's right.
You had a good run. You got to be able to run next to some people, but the car just wasn't quite there, was it?
Not enough ump, but hey, wait till next year.
All right, he'll be back. You know it, guys.
Well, you're looking at the guy, we talked about what he did with the Hans device, but also he was the guy who created in its day the IMSA Lights category, which is a hugely popular race as well. Let's get back down to Jim Trado.
With Kerry Jacobson finishing 4th, but Kerry, it seemed like it may have started yesterday and culminated with a less than favorable start for you. Tell us about your run.
Yeah, we started a little further back than we were supposed to. Had a little disagreement with the stewards, and they penalized us 3 positions for allegedly passing under yellow and took our times away for the whole week. So we were starting with some slower cars, and we got into a little shoving match in turn 1 there and knocked the toe out, and it severely affected the car coming up through the pack. We picked up a big understeer all the way around the track, and we were a good 2 or 3 seconds off our normal pace. So all we kind of could do is maintain our position. We couldn't run the front 3 guys down as we had been most of the week. So It was a reasonable result for us considering. Kind of had the cards stacked against us due to that start, but we're not unhappy with it. This is a brand new race car this year, and it's just now being developed for this class. So we're a little bit overweight and a little bit underpowered, but we'll be back next year with a little bit more competitive effort.
But Kerry, you were up to third position, ended up fourth. I mean, that's not a bad day overall. I mean, it's just Wade Carter got past you once things got underway.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad at all, and we're happy with it. Like I say, if we would have started a little cleaner, I think we would have had something for him, but maybe next year.
Kerry Jacobs will take fourth place back to his home in DeLand, Florida.
He will, and he's got Mike Davies as an engineer on that. As you take a look at our podium here, and Mike Davies knows how to win national championships engineering on that car, so when he says he'll be back next year with a better program,
hey, you know what? A golf cart
he
might be
will.
good. Do we have a spare?
But there is your podium. It is Hans Peter in the center on the right, Mark Jaremko in second, and Carter on the left in third, and just an incredible run by Hans Peter. So, well, I'll tell you what, he laid it down, and he made the step from Sports 2000 mighty successful.
Yeah, he's very smooth. He just drove away with it. It was a little bit tight at the start, but once it cleaned up, he drove away, and Jaremko made him honest there at the end.
Yeah, he fought hard. He came back hard, and that was the number 76 of Goldkind trying to restart. This guy had a tough go, the number 64, obviously, of Davis. But up front, Hans Peter did what he set out to do. When the season started with this brand new package, he brought it home to gold. So C Sports Racing is complete. For Dan Biggs, Jim Trado, and Biz, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks for joining us. And to Hans Peter, our gold medalist, congratulations and well earned indeed.